for Manchester United means that Chelsea drop out of the top four. They're in fifth with 53 points, Tottenham in fourth with 55, Liverpool in third with 57, Manchester United in second with 59, and we think City are pretty much guaranteed Champions League football next season. However, who else is going to be joining them? Let's talk about the most likely contenders first.
Right, well, most likely contenders for me would be United, Liverpool. Now I'm struggling.
And that's where the discussion comes in. Manchester United and Liverpool because...
United because I think Jose, I do think that he has the ability and the know-how to steer a team over the line, get the job done, make sure that they tick all the boxes, and I'm sure he'll do that. Liverpool because their goal-scoring prowess is incredible, and from whatever situation they find themselves in, they can score goals to win matches. Spurs and Liverpool is a tough one to...
Spurs and Chelsea?
I beg your pardon. Spurs and Chelsea is a tough one to call.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really, really difficult.
I think I watched the Palace game. I watched some of the Palace game, and, you know, Harry Kane was the difference in that game. And I think that if he's not playing that game, they probably don't nick that goal. And then I watched Chelsea, and I saw Morata, and he just seems like he's just not... He's not quite at it. Yeah. And I think that we're getting into a stage of the season where they do need that goal scorer to nick those goals, because I believe that if Morata was on his game, they probably beat Man United, because I thought Chelsea played really well.
Did start.
In the end, Man United, with the quality what they had and the pressure that they kept on Chelsea, Chelsea couldn't finish them off.
Too good for them in the end, United.
And I feel that if Chelsea can get Morata to score, I'd probably fancy them. But if Tottenham then get an injury to Harry Kane, I think that they'll probably...
I don't think Morata's ever been someone you class as prolific. Again, they paid a lot of money for him, and he's got all the attributes. He's big, he's powerful, you know he can play up there on his own, he can run. We saw earlier in the season, remember them goals he scored at Stoke?
Yeah,
brilliant. He got it in the halfway line, just turned away from people and
Where's
finished.
that player gone?
Yeah, that's sort of gone at the moment. But so you know it's there. Harry Kane is a phenomenon. He's on a different planet to all the others at the moment.
But that's what I'm saying, Andy. If Tottenham keep it tight and he's fit and he's there, I always fancy Tottenham to win a game if he's playing. And that is why I believe that it will probably be Tottenham in the end, because I'm not sure if Morata will regain that form what we saw at the start of the season. Whereas if Tottenham can keep Harry Kane fit, he is a match winner for him. He'll push them over the line. So
do you think it is a straight shootout then between Spurs and Chelsea?
Yeah.
And they play each other on April the 1st?
Brilliant.
Wow.
Brilliant. I'm really looking forward to that. It's at Stamford Bridge, isn't it?
It is at Stamford Bridge. So Tottenham have got Huddersfield, they've got Bournemouth, they've got Newcastle in the build-up to that game. How is their running looking, given that they've got Chelsea, then Stoke, then Manchester City?
Who have Chelsea got in that same period of time?
Chelsea have got in that same period of time, they've got Manchester City, Crystal Palace, Spurs, West Ham, Southampton, Huddersfield, Swansea, Liverpool, Newcastle, Burnley. So there's not too much in it.
Not too much
difference. There's a couple
difference.
of tricky fixtures for both of them.
What it's going to do is going to come down to them winning those games. So as when they get to that game, that's going to be what sorts it out. They have to win those games. So we saw Tottenham against Palace the other day, and they got it done in the end. And who was the game before? Spurs got it done again. I can't remember who
Which one are you talking about? The one before Palace?
Yeah, the league game.
They beat Arsenal.
That's what it was. And yes, that's what it was.
Is that why it's stuck in your memory?
And they could, well, obviously they could have beat Arsenal a lot more comfortably, but it was the one goal, and it was Harry Kane again. So I believe that it's the teams that they're going to be playing against. I believe that they're more than capable of beating them. And then when they come up against Chelsea, it depends on what form Chelsea are in.
When I look at Chelsea and I look at Rudiger, Christensen, Azpilicueta, I think there's a chance there if you're playing Chelsea. I think Christensen's a really good young player, but he's a footballer. He's not the most physically capable at the moment. Lukaku and people like that can move him about and rough him up a little bit and affect him. Rudiger is more of wants to get tight to you, wants to defend you, he's quick and he's great when he comes flying out with the balls. He did a couple of times at the weekend. But I'm just not sure about him absolutely concentration-wise compared to the better teams.
You know what you don't see with him, and I've watched him a load of times. I always watch a defender and see, well, how could I get... Because he's got all the physicality, he's really quick, he's very clever. But like, I think you can spin him. You can suck him in and spin him.
Yeah.
You can definitely do that. I think you can do that with both. And the only one I wouldn't want to play against in that back three is Ashbalaqueta, because he's got that
dogged determination.
He's got a little bit more
hasn't he?
about him. But I feel that the other two,
Yeah.
you know, depending on who's up against them, someone as cute as Harry Kane.
Yeah.
And then you start getting the ball in and around Eriksen, and if Ali's on his game,
yeah,
you know, you can really cause them a bit of problems.
We're so used to seeing Luiz, Azpilicueta and Cahill as that three. And even with Alonso and Moses, all of a sudden now you've got Rudiger Christensen, you've got Zappacosta thrown in there a bit. You've got, there's been a fair bit of movement in and around that
stability,
defensive line at Chelsea. And I'm not totally convinced that's strong enough to against the best. So I would probably
go to Spurs.
Probably just edge Spurs as we talk. Look, game by game, week by week, your mindset changes. They win a game, and you start thinking, wow, they're back on it, they're here, they're there, whatever. But they're at the moment, Willian and Hazard, they're reliant very much on those two because they're so good.
Yeah, but they're so good, and if Morata could just, even if he's not playing, if he could get himself in a situation where he nicks a couple of goals, it really does change the whole dynamic for him. But them two are doing so much work, and they've done it again against United, but they just didn't quite have that cutting edge.
What do you think fixture congestion is going to have to do with all of this? Because Spurs have got an FA Cup replay, obviously both teams in Champions League action.
Yeah. Look, it's not easy, and that's the... But what I like about both managers is that they put demands on their players. Pochettino, we hear, works his team tremendously hard. Not this time of the year now. I mean, that would be stupid, but I'm sure he still works them hard enough. You hear that they have to put a serious amount of work in at Spurs Monday to Friday. I'm sure Conte is the same. I'm sure, and I know he's had to back off a little bit because his squad, he doesn't feel is fat enough. But I think they're both demanding coaches, and I always think that this time of the year, when I start seeing managers chopping and changing too much, I always think, well, you're leaving yourself wide open to get done here. There are certain periods for a manager, surely, during the season where you've got to keep your fingers crossed that they stay fit, and you've got to ride out put your best team out there for 3 or 4 games on the bounce, if necessary. If you feel like you can do it, you've got to do it because it's a crucial period.
Is this the part of the season that you keep your players fit for? This is why earlier in the season, in the early rounds of the Cups, this is why you rest them.
Yeah, this is what you're resting them for, because this is the crux end, the business end. Like I say, you know, if Chelsea could get a goal scorer scoring, you'd have to fancy Chelsea, even though we've got a couple of question marks over the defensive side of them. And the same with Harry Kane. You look at Harry Kane, I'm not sure, you know, they'll play against Rochdale. Will he be on the bench? They can't even afford to not have him on the bench. And this is where you want him to get a rest and a break somewhere along the line. But I don't think that Spurs can actually afford not to have him at least on the bench.
What about momentum at this stage of the season when you've got teams who are fighting for a place in the Champions League? Tottenham have got 13 points from their last 6 games. Chelsea, on the other hand, have got 7 from their last 6. Is that significant, particularly given how strongly Spurs ended the season last time? 12 and 13, 12 points?
Yeah, without a doubt, Kel, simply because momentum and having to dig one out like they did against Palace, which was a tough one for them, but then their main man came up again. It gives you confidence and it gives you momentum simply because you know that we can hold them out, because if we do, we know we've got someone at the sharp end who can nick that goal for us and get us over the line. So they know that as long as they can keep it tight, they've got more than a good opportunity of going up the other end and nicking a goal through their top man.
Would that worry you, that run of results, as much as the fact that it was a draw against Leicester, they beat Brighton, lost against Bournemouth, lost against Watford, beat West Brom and then lost against Manchester United? As much as, less so Manchester United, but as much as as much as the fact they're losing, the teams they're losing to? Definitely.
I think that at the weekend, they started great, they got in front, and then second half, it was a much better United team, and Jose's boys got on top of them and dominated the game and totally deserved to win it. I watched the Watford game that night where they were all over the place, and Watford are one of them sort of teams. You catch them on a bad day, they got those players that can really hurt you. and they made Chelsea look that ordinary at the back on that particular occasion. Bournemouth, to get done 3 at home against them is very odd, quite frankly, for a Conte Chelsea team. It's not. I found that very surprising. So yeah, at the moment, 2018's been a real mixed bag for them. It's just not been good enough, not been thorough, consistent enough. Key players aren't playing well. He's chopping and changing. He's trying to search for the right formula, as well as giving some boys a bit of a breather, and it's not quite happened. And if it don't start happening, or if it doesn't happen in that Tottenham game, if Spurs go to the Bridge and win, then I don't think they'll be able to do it.
Because you look at Spurs, Spurs are not losing games like that. Spurs are, like I say, they're either hammering teams or they are eking it out. They're getting the point. They're not losing points, where you see Chelsea losing points in games like that, where it's very, very strange to see Chelsea losing points against teams like that. So this is why, again, I feel like, Tottenham, for me, will probably sneak it.
How much is it a problem for Spurs if they do start to lose a couple, bearing in mind people keep aiming at them? They haven't got over the line yet, they haven't managed to win anything, How much does that then start to come into their thinking?
I'm starting to think if they lose anyone apart from Kane, I think they could probably deal with it. Let me see, if they lost Dele Alli, Eriksen.
Yeah, can go and play there.
I feel like they could. It's Harry Kane. If they lose him, he's the X factor.
It's not the results or the nerves that would hit them. It would be an injury.
That is, for me, that's what it is. I think that they can deal with the nerves in that now. I think that it's the injuries that will cause them a problem.
Did they kind of put that to bed a bit last season with that 12 wins in the last 13? Did they put that to bed a bit?
Maybe, yeah. It's just that I think people will always turn around and say, until they actually get over the line and win something, that there's going to be that question mark, that doubt in the back of people's minds. Maybe in their own minds and in the camp, they're convinced.
Yeah.
At the home last season, they were just...
Yeah.
They were unbelievable. And I remember watching a lot of those games in that run-in, and they were as fast across the ground with 4 games to go as they were after the first few games. They were brilliant. So it's a fascinating contest, that. Yeah. But I think the top 3, I think, will be there. I think it's a battle between the 2 London clubs.
You're going for Spurs, you're going for...
I'll just go for Spurs at the minute.
This week?
Yeah, this week.
It's all right.
Ask me in a couple of days' time.
I'm going for Arsenal to have a charge, though.
Are you?
You're just saying that. You can't be giving them a load of grief and all of a sudden just chucking that one in at the last minute.
Just lighten it up a bit.